Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining today's ARA SIG93 webinar, AI in Higher Education. My name is Sunyan Beck, and I serve as a social media manager for ARA SIG93. I'm very happy to welcome you and thank you for being part of today's session. So today's webinar focuses on how AI is reshaping both teaching and research in physical education and also higher education context. And we will begin with a talk on AI literacy in physical education, teacher education, followed by a session focused on how we can use AI for information retrieval for research. And each presenter will speak about 20 minutes, and then we will conclude with Q&A session. And it is my pleasure to introduce the first speaker, Dr. Xiaolu Liu from Georgia State University. Dr. Liu, I will turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Sangyang. Let me share my screen first. All right, can you all see my screen? Okay, great. Okay. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar, and also it's a great honor to be part of this presentation. For the next 20 minutes, my presentation will focus on AI literacy from more practical perspective to discuss about how can we better prepare future physical education teachers for the AI age. So I think I've already shared this train during our last Invisible College last year in AERA. I talked about, yes, the AI train has already left the station, but now it's already left a while ago. So it's not about whether we like it or not, or whether we use it or not, but it's time for us to really think about, the future, the direction of, where the AI train can go in our physical education, teacher education. So for today's presentation, I will mainly talk about what AI literacy is, why it matters, and will provide some practical examples as an entry point for AI literacy practice in teacher education, and we'll end with some questions for ongoing discussion and also thinking within teacher educators. Just a brief intro about myself and a little bit want to share how I started with this research line. I'm Xiaolu Liu from Georgia State, the current assistant professor. My research focuses on preparing future physical education teachers for assessment literacy. And ever since I joined Georgia State in 2022, fortunate to be a faculty fellow of the SNAP Inc. Center for Computer and Teacher Education at Georgia State. And then that's a time where I start to learn more about AI literacy, how can we better integrate AI literacy to support future teachers. So over the past years, I have been completing several courses as a professional development, as my personal learning as well. It's from ISTE and got some certificate down. And now I feel like more confident and comfortable to talk about AI and AI literacy. And also based on my practical experience in my courses, I can share some of my stories about AI literacy integration in teacher education. Well, I think everybody is very familiar right now to, about what is AI. And I usually start this with my students as well in my course, just to help students learn more about, the AI concept. And later on, I will share a practical example of how can we introduce this concept in the class as a beginning part of AI literacy learning. So AI, we all know it can make autonomous decisions without direct human intervention. And the interesting thing is, whenever I talk about AI, students will immediately think about ChatGPT. I feel like that's how, and when, of course, when it's 2022, ChatGPT come out, AI, it's becoming and much, much more prevalent than ever before. So that's why it's common for students to link directly with AI and ChatGPT. But actually, it's ChatGPT is part of generative AI and it's part of AI systems. It's a little bit different from general AI. We all know how ChatGPT works. It can create new text, images, codes, or even data, but it's really based on the patterns learned from large data sets. And let's use ChatGPT as an example and how it really works. And students were amazed by how they need to learn more about how AI or how generative AI really works. And that's actually from my slide, one of my slides of the course I had last week when I introduced AI literacy to my students. So large language models, it's based on, really based on the prompts we give to the model, and it really working by matching prompts to training data. So it's not really know the facts, or it's based on the facts. It's just predict the next most likely words by matching the prompt with the training data. So the funny thing is when I talked to my students, say, oh, today we'll talk about AI, they were very excited in the beginning. They assumed they want to know more about different types of AI tools, how these can support their professional practices. And the more I talk about how large language models works, the issues, challenges behind it, they kind of like get a little bit nervous, anxious about what they have done before, and they ask me a lot of questions about what if I did this, does that work, if that's appropriate, or if that's okay, because they realize that, oh, there's a lot of hallucinations of the generative AI outputs. Again, sometimes the output looks like very convincing, very fluent, but it has a lot of fake information or incorrect information because it's really based on what data it was trained. So again, large language models really predict words. That's how they work, and they don't know facts. And this is very important for students to know. Later on, they will be more aware of, okay, now I need to really look at outputs instead of just saying copy and paste and use whatever AI give it to me, just because they know how it works and it has hallucinations behind it. The reason why I start with this concept is based on my observation, based on my practice. These really help my students know better about how to better engage with AI moving forward. Whenever they go to, ChatGPT for ideas for assessment or for lesson plan, learning tasks, ideas, they will be more aware of whatever AI give to them by connecting with their own content knowledge, their own school context, their students, so it's not just, oh, yeah, it looks like a very good idea, I'm going to use it, but now they would give more thinking on AI outputs. And this is all connected with AI literacy that I think, very important at this stage to help our students to gain such literacy to be able to evaluate AI technologies, communicate and collaborate with AI effectively, and also use AI as a tool. And as you can see from the citation, it's 2020. So a couple years ago, like 6 years ago, before ChatGPT come out, scholars already discussed the concept of AI literacy when preparing teachers. And now, even though, the concrete understanding of AI literacy is still developing, and there are a lot of AI literacy frameworks are developing in teacher education, it's a common concept that AI literacy is about understand AI, use AI, evaluate AI, and recognize its societal impact. And this is a framework I personally find very helpful practically when I prepare my courses in preparing my student teachers from these three aspects. First, understand AI. They have to have those knowledge, just like they have to know what is AI, right? What is generative AI, how a large language model works, what are some issues behind it, so that they can have those foundational knowledge, be more comfortable working with AI. And the second component is use AI. They have to have the opportunity to really explore AI. A lot of colleagues come to me saying like, "Oh, I'm still debating. Should I use AI in my course? What kind of policies should I include in my course to set expectation for students?" And the more conversation we have across college, in my institution, we realize that it's not gonna stop students to use it if we really prevent them from using it in the course, but rather we would like to bring it in the table to explore it, discuss it, and reflect it, and go through the process together. So using AI is also a very important part of the course. And of course, the most critical part is evaluate AI. Because the whole AI literacy, the core is center human judgment, human values. It's not just about using AI tools. Oh, there are a lot of AI applications coming up. It's not about catching those AI technology, but the more about protecting professional judgment and then human values in teaching and learning. So this is how AI literacy framework or literacy components look like. And this really helped myself as well when I plan my courses, how to integrate AI literacy into my courses. And those are the three components I was trying to align with. And the whole AI literacy concept is really based on the human in the loop, which means human always play an essential role, not just AI. AI is just a tool, right? But AI and human can work together, but human leads thinking and makes the final decisions. Always have evaluation verifications before really using the AI output. And this is most uh, reinforced by scholars in 2025, dialect critical code discovery. And this is a pedagogy that's used in teacher education, as the students to really collaborate with AI, use AI for different purposes, professional practice purposes, but encourage students to make, evaluation, thinking, and then always make the final decisions based on professional judgment. So to me, not only talking about how AI can help, what AI can do is important, but what teachers must do with the AI use is the most important part as well. Since last uh, week, when I talk about the basics of large language models, how AI works, and the reaction from my students makes me realize that instead of just talk about, oh, we have a lot of AI tools that can help us do this and do that, talk about the limitations, challenges, issues behind AI is much more, I would say, much more helpful for students because now they will have a better sense of, wow, in what time I have to trust AI. I cannot trust AI in what situations. So talk about these aspects definitely can start a conversation and make students feel more comfortable to really talk about and use AI and reflect on how AI can better support them in their teaching. So these are the basic things I have talked, I have explored in my courses about the basics of AI literacy, but how does that look like in practice? How can we start if we have faculty members who want to start saying like, I want to explore how AI can be integrated in the class to better support my students, and how to start. And this is a reflector tool. I think it's very helpful, and it's developed by one of my colleagues in the college, Dr. Sue Casson, and she developed this reflector tool to really guide teacher preparation program faculty to really think about whether, when, and how to start, how to integrate generative AI. Should I do it or should I not do it? And which part of the courses should I integrate AI? So I have the link here. If anyone interested in this tool, I'm happy to share with the Reflect tool for anyone who is interested in start trying to explore how Gen AI can support student learning. The whole idea of this reflective tool is not so as a one size fits all, saying, oh, this is standardized way for you to implement. But rather, faculty agency remains central because course context is different, students are different, content is different. So it's just serving as a guideline for you to start to think about and plan where does generative AI fit in the course and in the program. Um, and then for the next couple slides, I will share some practical examples how these can be embedded in your existing courses. Well, there's some tips I would like to share. First, definitely start with small. For me, if you ask me as of now compared to 3 or 4 years ago, how do I feel? I would like, oh, in the beginning, I feel anxious as well. As a faculty member, if 3 years ago, if you asked me to do this type of work, I would like, I'm not ready for that because myself needs to develop AI literacy as well in order to model how AI works, model the effective way of AI use to my students. I personally need to learn a lot. Um, but definitely start with small to explore, how AI can fit the course, the program to your students. Maybe just start with talking about AI concepts, right? Not just big project or a big step or change the whole course. That's not realistic. Maybe just start discussion about AI. What's challenging your practice, how AI maybe help or hinder, your practice. Maybe just start with AI knowledge learning, and then also the mechanism behind the large language models, right? That's something that we can start. And exploration, I often situate the AI literacy within the course context. I personally teach assessment course, so I introduce a lot of different ways of how AI may help with assessment development. But the most important thing is to encourage students reflect on AI output instead of here is a tool and you use it. So by connecting with the course content, it makes more sense for students saying, oh, these can be used for that purpose. And my other colleagues in the program, she used more about AI for lesson planning, like learning outcome, learning tasks, brainstorming. So it's more aligned with the code discovery concept. So let students work with AI, but they make final decisions if that work for the school context. And reflection is also very important. It's important to ask the students to reflect on the whole process, bring up to the table, let's talk about it as a whole group. One feedback I got from my students is they said it's very helpful to talk with my peers in the class because initially they thought they are the only one who think AI that way. They have different types of feeling, but the more they talk about it, the more comfortable they realize, oh, you are not alone. Emotionally, they have that support. And we also reflect on the limitations, issues, challenges of AI. That's more critical aspect and serve more for their own professional growth as well. Not saying just, okay, AI is here, it's going to replace our teaching, but because human is center, human value is center, AI is just a tool there. And another thing, personally, I think collaboration is important within the program. It's important to have a shared vision with the program across different faculty. Otherwise, it's going to only limit it to one course or two. It's not going to scaffold students' learning or their AI literacy development across time and across different courses. So I'm glad I have a group of faculty can work together and we always brainstorm together, share our challenges, and find out solutions that can better help our students. Um, One of the example of course activities start in the very beginning of the course. I usually just bring very basic understanding of AI knowledge, understand what AI actually is. So this is a quick activity I did within my students in the beginning of the course. Just let them categorize what is AI, what is not AI. So we had a lot of fun discussions, explorations, and some of the items really got confused among students. So that's all about AI knowledge. So you can see if you can quickly categorize AI, but I'm not going to do this activity here. But this is a fun activity for students to do. And for AI use, I usually frame the assignments, have them think about the whole thing first, and then they go to AI to explore and then compare the outputs together and reflect what how AI output may help their understanding or may help their whatever tool they need, but they always have to reflect on that. So that's all about assignments redesign. If you don't frame that way, you never know if students have used or used AI for their assignments. And also, it's still important to have students explore different AI models. So one example is you can have students run the same prompt in different generative AI, such as ChatGPT, Claude, Microsoft, Copilot, Gemini. So let them compare how, the outputs are different across different models to better help them understand, oh, because AI models are based on whatever data they were trained, different AI model would based on different data. So you can see how different it works. So it can better reinforce their understanding of AI and how AI works. So these are, personally, I find it's very helpful to help students understand how AI works and why it is important to have human values or professional judgment along the way. And this is the last example I would like to share. I think it's very fun and helpful for my students. If I just talk about, oh, AI has a lot of issues, biases, stereotypes, just talk about it, they, sometimes if you give a picture, it works better. So this is one activity we did. We use image generator, and I asked the students to use different prompts to see how different images, carry different biases and stereotypes. And you can see, I saw Sanyan had a lot of agreement with that. You can easily see there are some biases and stereotypes here. So we discuss the images and recognize, oh, because generative AI is based on whatever data. Whoever created the model, they put on different data source. You never know. They have the biases checking. They have if the data source is reliable, if it's valid, if it's accurate. So these are the issues and challenges behind it. So through those activities, students will get a better understanding of the limitations of AI outputs. Instead of saying, oh, AI can help me do everything, but okay, here's the problem. I need to look deeper into the output and really think about it if it's really connected with my context, if it's really aligned with my teaching goals and learning objectives, and how these output may impact students' learning. So recognizing societal impact of AI output in teaching and learning is another critical aspect of AI literacy. And this activity may help. Okay, so these are just quick activities personally shared from my own practical experience. It's not one size fits all, but I do have some questions for everybody to take away to continue to think about. At this stage, how can AI be used in our teacher education courses as a scaffold for learning rather than a substitute for teachers' thinking and decision making? And how can Pete better support pre-service teachers in developing critical judgment when working with AI? And what kinds of teacher education experiences most effectively promote AI literacy in Pete program? So that's all the questions. Let's continue with this dialogue, and then let's continue with conversation of how AI literacy can look like and how far it can go in our teacher education program. So that's all. And if you have any questions or would like to have further conversation, feel free to reach out. And thank you again for listening.
Thank you so much for an insightful session, Dr. Liu. If you can share a reflective tool link in the chat, that would be great.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and I like to introduce our second speaker, which is Mr. Yongjin Lee, soon to be doctor, from University of North Carolina at Greensboro. Mr. Lee, I will turn it over to you.
All right. Hello. All right. Let me just make sure I'm on the same page. Yeah. Hello. My name is Yongjin Lee, a PhD candidate at the University of North Carolina under the guidance of Dr. Ben Dyson over here. Thank you, Ben. My focus is slightly different from Dr. Liu, who explained the benefits and needs of using AI in physical education, teacher education. So my approach is more practical and universal for researchers, especially people who read a lot of papers and want to recall what they wrote, what they read before. The presentation of the title is like building your second brain with REG. By the end of this webinar, you will be able to create your own second brain to ask questions and get answers based on your annotations. And you will understand what's going on under the hood, which is called REG. So let's dive in. This work started with my practical problem. As a doctor student, I had to read a lot of papers, and each time I read a paper, I highlight sentences and jot down my thoughts, which are called annotation. While writing my annotations, I was so excited to use this idea later. So, however, weeks later, after being overwhelmed by a lot of different responsibilities, I could not remember which paper said what. Only few words remained in my memory. It took a lot of time to just to remember the article. So after experiencing this situation several times, I said to myself, I wish I had a second brain to remember my annotations and find articles related to my questions. So that's why I call this project my second brain, which is solving my problem.
Mr. Lee, sorry to interrupt, but I just want to let you know that we cannot see your slides. Did you?
Wow, I just speak it without any slides. All right,
I
so
was
that was the
thank you.
slide. Now I'm seeing you. Can you see my slide?
Yes, and we
I
can see
was
your slides and your like small version of you on the bottom.
All right, so now you can see my slide. Thank you
Yep.
so much. It was not that big part. So I was talking about the problem. So I read a lot of papers and I wasn't able to remember. So that's why I built my second brain. So disclaimer. So maybe I can quick a little bit. So here's the disclaimer. I know it's unnecessary for most of the researchers here. I'm so glad to see a lot of like good researchers here. But I found myself seriously tempted to just extract knowledge or ideas from papers instead of just reading whole papers. So obviously there are many ways to extract knowledge from paper using AI. However, I highly recommend and reading the paper first. The purpose of this project is to create my second brain. It's not just create a knowledge base that I didn't know in the first place. So therefore, this project uses my annotations and highlighted sentences from the paper I have read so far. So this is webinar, not a workshop. So I will show you the demonstrations instead of creating this like second brain together. So I brought two different ways, two different examples creating a second brain. The first way is easy entry like method, which uses only Zotero and NotebookLM. These are two popular applications provide easy access to your second brain. But if I were to explain Notebook LM, I would not have invited and I don't want to present it. You can learn anything from like the YouTube, but I hope we can understand what's going on under the hood and customize details if we want. So that's why I brought the second method, which is more sophisticated, but will help us understand the actual process AI does for us. So I use N8N to customize all the settings, which I call beyond the black box. So no matter which method you use, you will create your second brain that you know your notes. You can ask questions to your second brain. Your second brain will answer based on your notes, not from somewhere else. So let's start with the easiest way, the easy entry. I use Zotero to read and organize papers. If you're not familiar with Zotero, it's a citation management tool similar to EndNote or Mendeley. I find Zotero useful because of its free and open source policy, allowing me to use wide range of extensions. So if there's any chance, I'd like to introduce more extensions, but later. But when I read articles, I highlight sentences in Zotero. But did you know that you create a single note that includes all the highlights and annotations? So you can just put this note, like if you create this note and put that into NotebookLM as a source, you can ask any question and get answer. That's so simple. So let's go with the live demo. So first I will create a note from my Zotero and then adding a note to the notebook LM as a source. So I will ask a question and only I know the answer. So Sinyan, if there's any wrong, please let me know. I'm going to look at my Zotero. Can you see my Zotero? Yeah, so this is Zotero. So I used to read papers using this Zotero. I have like 2,300 items here. So it means I'm not able to remember all the papers, even if I read it and then I highlight it. So, and then I organize all the paper using the topic, and these folders are all topics. So as an example, I will click this embodiment. So if you're interested in embodiment, you will have more papers, but I have like 9 items right now. And when I read it, so go inside and start to read it and highlight something. And then I sometimes write to remember. So let's say Yongjin Lee is an educator and researcher. Let's make it something special. Yongjin Lee plans to go a dance party tonight with Kevin. Yep, that's an example. So like you have an idea when you read papers and you want to remember something because that idea is like the annotations is something right, like writing something on the paper is your idea. It needs to be the core part of your research. And then After I write a lot of things, I cannot remember. So how we can remember this? How we can recall this idea? So let's go back to this page and then you can click like 9. And if you click it over here, you can create notes from annotations. So if you click it, that just created this note. That note includes a lot of information, including the information about me. So I highlighted, and right after I highlighted, there's a like message that I wrote, like Yongjin is educator and researcher. Yongjin plans to go dance party with Kevin. So now it's time to download this file. So export note, and I can download it as a markdown file. So markdown is a type of like file name, like Microsoft document. So if you download it, I can download it into my download folder. So it's time to go the NotebookLM. So NotebookLM is like commercial, like the Google developed this application. You can use it. There are a lot of features, but here's the example. So you can create your new source, and I can upload it, my annotation markdown file. And maybe you can just name it as a second brain. So now I have the second brain. So if I have any questions about my annotations, maybe you can remember something, maybe it can be like tip of your tongue, and like you remember something, and then you can ask questions. For example, who is Yongjin? What is he? Let's say more specific, Yongjin Lee going to do? So it's not like instead of generating the new knowledge, so they're searching it, and then it shows that Yongjin Lee is an educator and researcher studying at University of North Carolina, Greensboro, and he plans to go to party tonight with Kevin. So it all information they collected, and then they generated the the answers. So it's not coming from somewhere else. It's coming from the notes we created already. Isn't it simple? Yeah, so let's go back to the slide. Yes, it was the live demo. I love the easy methods. So like most of the people, like we don't really need to know like detail, but NotebookLM is so convenient and easy to learn. But if you're new to like AI, NotebookLM will be a very nice takeaway. However, easy entry always has trade-off. You will not have control over your data. You have to unload your own knowledge to this server. Like additionally, you cannot customize all the details process to improve the quality of the answer. I have always wanted to understand how the AI application works, customize it to meet my needs, and be more independent of the commercial applications whose policies could change at any time. At this moment, Google AI, the Notepad LM is free, and as long as you are using like some like information, only some of the information. But they can change they can charge me always anytime. Like that's their policy and that's their application. So in this context, NAN can be a very good opportunity to create your own second brain. So NAN is a usable open source tool for customizing all the steps without using comprehensive like code. So my explanation from here will be quite challenging if you're not familiar with like AI and like the details. So however, it will still be worth it to know what's going on under the hood. So please bear with me. My explanation from now on will include some technical terms. So your goal is to understand the big picture, not to delve into technical terms. So let's dive. So in order to peek into the black box, we must understand RAG, which is Retrieval Augmented Generation. So it's a strategy that overcomes the limitations of large language models. So like Dr. Liu mentioned hallucination. So always has a large language model has hallucination because it only uses their pre-trained data. But if a large language model can retrieve useful information beyond the pre-trained data, which is called retrieval process, and add it to the knowledge, which is an augment process, it can generate better responses. So simply put, if an LLM, large language model, is a student taking an exam, a standard LLM is a student relying on memory, the pre-trained data. RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation, is a student with an open book exam. So in NAN, we can generate RAG system, RAG structure. This is a visualization of each node that I can select and edit in NAN. In the part one over here, so the nodes generated from Zotero can be put into a vector store. So specifically, I can customize the chunk size and rules. The chunk strategy could be very important for better data retrieval. So when a node is created, it has a specific rules. So if you use this rule, you can chunk the data not by the word count, which is usually used, but by a specific rule, so that each chunk of data can has just only one single meaning and comes from a specific article. So next part is embedding. After you chunk the data, embedding is a process is converting your qualitative data into numeric data so that LMM can understand it. There are many ways we can do it. Like there are many different embedding models ranging from frontier commercial models to open source models. In this case, I use an open source model to store the data onto my laptop. Instead of uploading somewhere, I can run everything into my laptop. So like numeric data, numeric embedding data, it can be stored in the vector store as a source of knowledge. So in part two, you can retrieve, augment, and generate the data. Here you can choose which like LLM can be used. You can use an API to access frontier models such as GPT 5.2 or Gemini 3.3, open source models like you can run like so that you can use your machine. So I choose an open source model to run everything onto my laptop. To use a good model, to good open source model, you need a better computing source. I want to use open source models for embedding and large language model to keep my node confidential. So in the future, the structure that I'm explaining right now can expand beyond my second brain. It could be a part of my research, and in order to use it for my research, the transparency and data confidentiality are necessary. So coming back, like just give me one more minute of like difficult talks. So coming back to RAG, like what is happening here is you ask questions and then the question goes to embedding model to change the numeric data. So LMM is not understanding your natural language, that it needs to be changed to numeric data. So the vector store is the storage. And then the vector store does a similarities like search and provides relevant information to LMM because you already like insert your information into like vector store after you ask questions and it use embedding model and find like similar information and it retrieve the data. So LMM combines the information to answer the question. In this process, you can change all the settings such as system instruction, output format, temperature, top P or top K, like sampling numbers or number of chunk information, like all the things. You can change everything in here. So I know this can be too much for many people, but I like to share it so that I can promote this approach. This understanding allows me to be more creative to use AI and meanings of using AI. So I want to find some people who are interested in this type of work to collaborate. And now let's move on to live demo. So if I use NAN, so I rather than explaining the detailed step, how I create this like structure, I will show the result of NNN. So this link shows that the single file is stored on my computer. It's not connected to any like internet or any other like server. So this HTML file is not uploaded anywhere. It stays on my laptop. So thanks to NNN, I was able to create a simple chatbot page that I can call my second brain. On this page, I can ask questions, receive responses based on my note from Zotero. It's the same way I just shown with NotebookLM. If I click this, so can you see my second brain? Yep. So, and then I'll ask the same question because I already did it for my NNN. So let's say, who is Yongjin? What is he going to do? So it takes a little more time because it uses my computing source and it goes to like somewhere a lot of places. And also I use the whole like my notes, like not just like single note. So not just from like 9 papers, I have a lot of like things. So let's see. Yeah, so it retracted like Yongjin Lee is here and it's going to do like go and dance party with Kevin. So it means we retract the information. It's not coming from somewhere else. It's from my note. And I also use Korean as my home like language. So if I want to like write like in my home language, like my first language, you can easily just put that in there and then AI can understand the different language and then they will answer based on my like question language. So if I like to use Korean or Mandarin or any other language, they will answer it, but they understand the whole language. That's cool. So that's a comparison table. Let's look at the comparison table together using NotebookLM. It's super easy, but you cannot control like customize it. Your data will be uploaded to their server. So if you're using NAN, you have more customization options and you can keep your data, although it has a learning curve. Here's my final thoughts. Your annotations are really valuable, so you want to remember this. The second brain will make them more actionable. Instead of forgetting this all the notes again and again, you can search it, you can find it right away. Start with a NotebookLM to feel the power of the second brain. If you want to customize it, build your own one with NAN. So thank you for listening. My name is Yongjin Lee. If you're interested in this presentation, please visit my website, yongjin.info, to learn more about me or my strategy. I have a great list of like strategies that will benefit your teaching and research. Thank you.
Thank you, Yongjin, for your useful presentation. If you can drop a link to your website in the chat, that'd be great.
All right, I will do that. Also,
and we will have 50-minute Q&A session. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions, or feel free to post your question in the chat. Yes, there is one question from Risto. Your comment said you are an educator and researcher. Where did NotebookLM pull your affiliation from? But you didn't tell it that. So is it a blend of learning from Zotero document and through their LLM, or is it strictly from your Zotero notes?
that's a good question. I guess because I practice it, I don't want to make mistakes. So I think I like put like different information like several times. So maybe when I like left on my own the note annotation, I already put my information affiliation. But you are true. So like it's not just using the knowledge. Like the large language model we use the knowledge that I put, but it's not only coming from the knowledge, but they will tell if there's no information about it, they will tell you that like, oh, there's no information about like Risto. Like if I use this NotebookLM and then ask who is Risto, and then they will say, oh, there's no information about Risto, but I know Risto about blah, 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 based on their like pre-trained like, data.
So it'll say like based on your notes,
Mhm.
there is nothing here,
Mhm.
but I found this online or through my LLM function of that.
Right. So if you're asking to ChatGPT, they already have like search website features. So in that case, they will start to search the feature, like they use this, the feature to search you, and then they'll answer the question. But for the notebook LM, I don't think they have the search website like feature, and then you can turn it on and off the feature. So if you turn off that, like they're basically use the pre-trained data and the note that I already put in there.
So my number one question was actually, how did you put your face on the slides when you were presenting? Do you have a tutorial for that?
Oh yeah,
I
so
remember
like
the first time I saw it, I was like, why is his face over there? I'm looking like your face is supposed to be in the box with everybody else. And then you're like professionally in the corner. That was very
all
cool.
right. So I made mistake at first, but like I did a good job for the second part. So when you click that share it, like you can have like four different options: content only, over the shoulder, or side by side. If I click the side by side, maybe my screen and my page like look like this. But if I click it, the like over
This
the
is from your
shoulder,
PowerPoint?
yeah, that's the PowerPoint. So maybe I share my PowerPoint and me. So different types of like layouts you can choose. As a background, you can use like this. Can you see the difference? And then maybe I can change the setting like this. It's a Zoom setting, so when you click the share, you can choose four different ways of sharing
Mm,
your screen.
man, I learned something new today, so I can turn off my brain. I
All
really
right.
appreciate it, and I really hope that you and Kevin have a good time tonight.
All right.
It'll
Kevin,
be a
you want
good dance
to
party.
go?
Okay, if you have any other questions, please feel free to unmute and ask, or you can just post your question in the chat. Martin?
Yeah, so I had a comment and a question. Xiaolu, thank you so much for that presentation. It was awesome. Um, I really enjoyed your suggestion on being able to have conversations with students, but I think you mentioned, like, more importantly, that students benefit from having conversations amongst themselves with using AI. So yeah, thank you for that suggestion. I provided students with learning opportunities where they can use AI and they have to reflect on the limitations themselves, but I haven't necessarily provided them spaces where they can have conversations amongst one another. So that's definitely something that I'll do in the future. So appreciate your presentation. And for Yongjin, I did have a question. So for Notebook LM, I was curious, are we able to like save folders in there that will kind of keep annotations? Like, for example, if you have annotations that you downloaded from 10 or 12 manuscripts, you throw it in there, you have dialogue, and then let's say you exit out of there, and then you go back to it. Is that thread saved, or would I have to re-input that information?
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe you can see my screen now, and I have a lot of folders. So
Oh,
I
okay.
have like, if I want to know about like meaningful physical education, I put that like actually like the Notebook LM is designed to do create my second brain. I just call it second brain, but like the students use this application a lot. So when you want to know, like as a teacher, like let's see the health. I taught health last time, and I put like all my presentation here and all the information here. And then if I want to create like the questions, like sometimes I want to create some like formative assessment. So if you want to click it, if you click it, just quiz, there's some of the examples. Like if you click quiz, they will generate quiz for you. Oh, I like create a quiz here. So those are type of a quiz. And then you can take a quiz. So like it's all based on all the notes I provided, and then you can create like all different like folders, and you can, as far as I know, you can upload up to 40 files. So, and then if you pay more, like if you pay it, like you can add more resources, more like informations, and then you
Okay.
can use all the different types of like features here. So that's cool application. So
Okay, great to know. And then do you use Notebook LM specifically for annotations, or like are there any other type of information or that you throw in there to kind of have dialogue with?
yes. So for my class, I use my like when I take a class, so like I put all the like papers that I should read. Like after reading it, I put there and then like ask questions about like if I don't know anything about it, like I ask question and then they'll answer the question based on the paper. But that's not like perfect way. And because that's too much information, and sometimes it includes like different like conflicting information. So when they have like conflicting information, that's the problem. So where the LLM, the large language model, is not able to handle it because they are searching the information. Like I don't know the detail how NotebookLM is structured, but for the NAN, like when I structured my way, so I ask to my large language model, search for information that is most relevant to my question. And then they only use for information to generate the question. So like when there's like conflict information, they sometimes ignore some of the information and then they create something new instead of just following the note. So Notebook LM can where was I? So yeah, you can use anytime. Like if you like to talk anything about the note or papers or your slides, they can handle all the information.
Awesome. Thanks. Appreciate it.
I actually have one question from Xiaolu. Um, I assume like different faculty members will have different buy-in towards like using AI or actively adopting AI. So did you find any like pushback from some like faculty members, or like how did you navigate as a faculty member who is like highly invested in using AI for pre-service teachers?
Mm. Thanks for the question, Sanya. It's great and it's actually happened. Um, I would say like in the initial stage when I started this research line and integration practice in my courses, if you ask me, okay, like the pushback from the beginning compared to now, definitely beginning is much more than now because at that time everyone is uncertain about the impact. If we bring AI, how would that impact students' learning, right? And that's the question I have personally as well. Well, I'm very passionate about AI. In the very beginning, when ChatGPT came out, I started to learn, and then at that stage, I just see ChatGPT as a tool, bring into my assessment course to see how that helped my students learn about assessment. And the more I practice it, the more I realize, oh, it's not just about tool. There are a lot of things behind the AI tool itself. So I continue to, integrate it, practice it, present it among our faculty in the program, and also because of my close collaboration with faculty in the college as a faculty fellow. So that center, the SNAP Center, has a lot of professional development work across colleges, teacher education programs over the years. So, for example, one of my colleagues is very hesitate about, if we should have this in our program. They see it, they experience, they also, see how our publications, presentations showcase works and start to buying. So I would say it's not my personal effort. There are a lot of institutional support coming as well, especially our support from the college and from the center. There are a lot of resources available. So that makes more faculty buy in because we have such guideline and a group of faculty explore together. So we feel supported. And if there's definitely a lot of hesitation and uncertainty, we always bring the conversation, discuss it. So that's helped a lot. So now I have the whole group of faculty buy-in, and we always discuss. At least two of us in the program are continue with this effort. We integrate AI leaders across different courses. And another factor is, we won't be able to touch everything about AI within one course because our course content is already a lot, right? So we squeeze space for that content. So we intentionally discuss how can we better scaffold students learning across different courses rather than just one or two courses. That's going to be a lot. If I do this, my colleague in her class will do a different aspect of AI with different goals. So that also help all the faculty in the program to be more manageable about what we have to target, what we should talk, what we should ask the students to do in the course, and also situated with the course context. It's still aligned with the learning objectives of the context for the course, but AI literacy, it can simultaneously develop along with the course itself. Thanks.
Thank you so much. We have about 5 minutes. So if you have like any other questions, you can unmute and ask, or you can leave any question in the chat. We'll wait for a second, and then if we don't have any, I think we can wrap up.
I have one thought. Something that's been somewhat debated at University of New Mexico, and I'm sure other places. So initially, I'm thinking of you, Xiaolu, for your insights related to how you teach. But anyone could probably answer this question. We have pushback largely from specific faculty members, but also from some students regarding ethical considerations in terms of like environmental impact when it comes to AI. Have you all experienced that? If so, how are you navigating that in your spaces?
I can share a little bit. I got a lot of pushback from my students as well. I think at that time, 3 years ago, when I bring in this idea, when ChatGPT just came out, students and myself as well were still learning. We're all still learning right now, exploring. And then students will say, wow, are we allowed to use AI? Is that considered as plagiarism? So students are scared about how this will impact their academic learning. And then everyone is saying, oh, now AI can do this work. Why do we need this course? Like if I, I teach students how to develop assessments for assessment practice and say, oh, now I just go to ChatGPT and it will immediately give me a rubric that like, why do I need to learn? And so we had a lot of debate and conversations among students and faculty at the same time. And I would say now it's a better time even to bring in this topic compared to 2 or 3 years ago when everyone is just hesitating. Now it's much more matured or situated time to talk because there are a lot of AI things like much better than before. And everyone is shocked about ChatGPT and now its applications are everywhere. So the more we talk about, students already have some experience with using AI, and now it's time to really discuss what it can do, what it cannot do for the subject. So yeah, now it's better time to talk about it.
That makes sense. And I think that the ethical guidelines around, plagiarism and taking credit for others' work, that sort of thing, I feel like that's going in the right direction. I think the major pushback ethically that we're seeing here is associated with how the data centers are using energy and water. And, if we're requiring that of them as opposed to making it an option so they could opt in to not negatively impacting the environment. And I think that that is probably connected because our population here is largely indigenous and is very thoughtful about how we are having impact on the environment. So that's just the pushback that we've been having. And I don't even know ethically where I fall in on that because I can understand that perspective, but also, like you said, the train's left the station. So I don't know. Maybe there's nothing to be like further conversation, but that's just what's present in my mind. I'm not sure how to navigate that.
Yeah, and especially there are a lot of AI applications. It's more for marketing purposes. It was throw you, oh, this is good, we use it. So recently in our institution, we use Box as a platform. Saying is very research safe. It's like can protect students' security, like privacy. So I use it and then realize it really doesn't fit our teaching purpose. So if it's not designed for educational purpose based on pedagogy, then the tool itself, as a faculty, as a teacher educator, we really need to evaluate if the tool is good or not. Yeah.
Okay. As we wrap up, I just want to say thank you to our wonderful speakers, Xiaolu and Yongjin, for sharing your expertise and experience. And I also want to thank you for the audience for your thoughtful questions and engagement today. We have like other webinars coming up, so I also look forward to see you all in the next webinar. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you. And don't forget to renew your membership and register for our ARA annual meeting. Thank you.
And vote.
And vote. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, vote.